well, Barça is going to go all out. With what money? Well, we don't know, right? Well, they do have money because they earn a lot. But of course, the problem here has always been, well, the wastefulness they've shown over the last few years, which has led them to have that problem with financial fair play. And that's even though they've been helped by La Liga under Tebas, by government organizations like the Higher Sports Council when it comes to registering players. Let's not even mention the Negreira case involving Barcelona. They should have been relegated for that. We'll see, by the way, and just as a side note, if all these players they want to sign will actually be able to play in the next Champions League, because that's a hot topic right now. Some will say it's impossible for Barça to miss the next Champions League, but just wait, there could be surprises. In any case, they're making a lot of moves. They're moving a lot with this "we'll pay later" money, right? Yeah, well, he says that Gordon already, the one from New York, Newcastle, they've got it completely done. They're talking about Bernardo Silva, although he would come on a free transfer, and about Julián Álvarez, for whom they're offering 100 million euros. 100 million euros, Barça, man. Barça. Apparently, and according to what's written here by Fabrizio Romano, the 100 million thing, I think he's saying it this morning on La Sexta. Fabrizio Romano doesn't mention any amount here. But he does talk about, well, a complete agreement with the agents and with Barça and the offer that's going to be sent in the next few hours. It's unbelievable. Because, well, we're also going to talk in this video, by the way, about something from the last few minutes. A statement from Enrique Riquelme addressed to Florentino Perez and accusing him of having defamed him in Florentino's presentation yesterday regarding the issue of the famous loan. A 54% interest rate and about the Calderon issue, right? He says, I was 15 years old. What are you telling me about this? Careful, because this is going to get tense and quite a lot. He's asking for a debate, and Anas Lagari is going to come up a lot and is already being questioned. I've mentioned it in some media about why this man is a member. Careful, because we're going to have some very heated days ahead in this regard. Now, let's go to the statement at the end of the video. But first, the whole transfer market issue, because of course, if Barça is making a lot of moves, yes, we can already complain about where they're getting the money from, how it's possible they've been allowed to do this, and so on and so forth. But what Barça always does is get their way and put together a team. It's true that a lot of it is with academy players. It's worked out well for them, the move of bringing up people from their academy in recent years, more or less. Hyped up with a lot of marketing and all that, and with the asterisk of playing with a safety net and whatever you want, but they've won the league again. 3 of the last 4. And this summer, when they should have been playing catch-up for years, suddenly it looks like they're strengthening. It looks like they're, cuando tendría que ser al revés, their youth academy more or less more. It looks like they're strengthening. It looks like they're reinforcing themselves better than Real Madrid, which is currently paralyzed. Madrid is paralyzed right now. And I don't even want to imagine that it's paralyzed right now. Madrid is paralyzed right now. And I don't even want to imagine what it could be. That they go for this signing, bring in Gordon, that good winger from Newcastle, and also Bernardo Silva getting their way. And we're not saying that the game changer signing to build the team has come out of the World Cup in good shape and has played really well. Played them. I don't even want to imagine it, because right now, Madrid is in a way paralyzed. And even less, with less baggage than what they're talking about in Portugal. I don't know if it's true. But if that's the case, man, putting on a circus now by holding elections when they weren't needed, well, that's Barça. It would be incredible if Florentino Perez had to pay 15 million euros, putting together a team, missing something. Well, look, it's just that according to Portugal's Abola, the gross Benfica release clause to hire Mourinho is 15 million euros. All parties want to close the deal as soon as possible, but it won't be made public, more or less. All parties want to resolve things quickly with Mourinho, but nothing will be announced until preparations are complete. I hope that Mourinho cost between 3 and 7 million, like they said he would. Let's hope it hasn't reached 15 yet, since it's clear he'll win before the elections. Later, we'll need to ask questions and seek explanations. I hope we learn about it beforehand, unlike with James Rodriguez when we claimed we already knew. Less, more or less. I know more or less. It was more or less. Come on, more or less. And then for the club to go after players, look like this one. With this guy, with Adam Wharton, who I think is really good. yesterday in his final, and a lot of people probably saw it. We saw that he's a very interesting player with a great passing range, a midfielder with a lot of skills and really good. I don't know, maybe not quite Real Madrid level. Sometimes we see a player at Crystal Palace who's playing well and all that, but then you have to be good enough for Madrid, right? But he looks really promising. And Madrid also needs a midfielder. What bothers me about this guy is that if Barça, que si no me equivoco, no le. I mean, in the end, Tuchel decided not to take him, but he didn't take Foden or Cole Palmer either. Tuchel must have some strange ideas, but oh well. Not Arnold either. We've seen Arnold this year, and maybe he could have played for England in the World Cup. If Madrid doesn't act soon, maybe. These names come up because we haven't heard anything else about Wharton. Hopefully, it's one of those cases where Madrid has operated quietly and suddenly, overnight, like with Camavinga back in the day. The current Camavinga is something else, but when we signed him, and especially when building the team, in the second year, things turned out pretty well, and nobody could have expected that. But, well, more or less, more or less. But anyway, there it is. The Dutchman missed the World Cup because Koeman left him out. It's almost better if he comes to Madrid too. It's good for footballers to skip the World Cup so their value doesn't rise and they don't get tired if we already know they're good. If they're going to come in the end, but it bothers me a bit that building a team is less, more or less. Vinicius said something I wanted to bring up, and now let's talk about Riquelme. In some statements to KCTV from OK said, I don't know how they say it over there in Brazil, which is the one that's going to have the rights to the Spanish league this upcoming season. And Vinicius granted him an exclusive interview when he was speaking well of Mbappe. Remember that we pointed that out. And this also has to do with the locker room and with leadership. He says, without Nacho, without Modric, with Carvajal injured, without Cruz, they gave a lot of experience to the team. Now, me or Fede or me, it would be we have a lot of experience on the field, but not in the locker room. We don't have as much experience to carry that burden. We need to keep learning. This season taught us a lot about the locker room, and next season will be better in the locker room, more united and better as a team. We are going through a generational transition where we have to change our role to help. Sometimes it's good to look at what you had and understand that it's not easy to win everything we've won. I got used to winning. I got used to bad habits. There's a lot of pressure. It's part of being on the best team in the world. People are waiting for us to fail, and we've done it 2 years in a row. We can't fail anymore. Like I keep saying, a third year in Madrid messing up, here we would tear each other apart. I mean, it could be terrible. I like that Vinicius is aware of this, but I'll say the same thing again, and I can't change my mind. I'm concerned about the team captains. I want them at Madrid. Both are very good and can offer more than they've shown recently, though Valverde has had some strong moments this season. But I'm really worried that Vinicius and Valverde are going to be the captains and not someone like Courtois. It worries me. What do you want me to say? Well, and now let's get to this breaking news, this statement from Enrique Riquelme, in which he says, Real Madrid deserves much more than noise. Lies, hoaxes, people with vested interests, and smear campaigns among Madrid fans who share the same love for the club, and that they should never be used to limit, he says in Madrid. In recent hours, we have sadly seen how Mr. Florentino Perez and people in his inner circle have chosen personal attacks and tension instead of encouraging a calm, elegant debate worthy of the greatest sports institution in the world. I have to say something here. Enrique Riquelme has also said serious things about the president of Real Madrid, but from the perspective of his presidency, he has not attacked the person. And I mean, he hasn't gone into certain topics or crossed the line that I think Florentino did cross yesterday during his presentation, right? Because Enrique Riquelme talked about the issue of privatization, but well, if that's a lie or he's exaggerating, damn it, go to a debate or deny it, and that's it. But it's true that with this topic, these are the ones who, I mean, are not reliable from a business standpoint. We can already imagine why the banks haven't given them the bank guarantee. They're the same as Calderon and so on. That's why he's responding with this statement. And Mr. Florentino Perez says he spread information that is totally and absolutely false. relying on publications for which the media itself has apologized to this candidacy and which have already been corrected by the media itself because they had received false and biased information. In fact, the operation being referred to was financed with a corporate bond issuance in the US market of $2 billion at 7.25%, and it was a milestone in the history of issuances in Latin America, with a demand worth $8 billion. I don't know which media outlet published this before, in which Florentino Enrique Riquelme says that Florentino Perez might have based himself, but he already says operation. The reference to what Florentino Perez might have based himself on, but it already says that he would have rectified. He harshly criticizes Florentino's manners in his latest public appearances. Again, and for the third time in public appearances, he says the attitude and manners are unacceptable. A statement by Perez casting doubt on the integrity, bonuses, legitimacy. Our candidacy, even though it has been declared valid by the electoral board in accordance with the statutes and electoral rules. The candidacy is led by Enrique Riquelme, directly backed by his personal assets, and is validated by the electoral board. Any insinuation about related persons, the one who should explain them is Florentino Perez himself, after 20 years in power, including an explanation. In fact, the operation is poorly written. On the part of Marca reference regarding the connection of his relatives and friends, the issuance was financed by the management and intermediation of the corporativos. In the period that Florentino Perez mentions about Ramón Calderón, Enrique Riquelme was 15 years old. 0.000 million. Sección intermediación del club. The operation, the candidacy that was part of that time is Mr. Antonio Medina, but Mr. Perez forgot to mention that he was also a member of his management at the Real Madrid Foundation until recently. He financed and resigned to join the candidacy. Likewise, Juan, the son of President Ramón Mendoza, is part of our team. Calderón a los 3 meses. It is false to say question the decisions of the president. It is a democratic exercise that strengthens institutions by members to the And he says that Anas Lagari's role is being called into question, and he says it is unacceptable to silence or ridicule the members' doubts about the club's business dealings. And the relationships of some in the presidential circle, like Mr. Anas Lagari, whose influence in strategic operations and questionable financial dealings linked to Real Madrid and the club's levers. Strategic operations and questionable financial dealings require full transparency and clear explanations. Refer to the one mentioned. Transparencia total y explicaciones. I once again formally challenge Mr. Perez to a public, open, and televised debate in which both candidates can discuss. He says that if not, in any case, corporate bonds. He will continue with a clean, calm campaign focused on the ideas that we Madridistas have inherited since 1902. Well, now he goes on the attack. Florentino already did it too. And he has picked up the gauntlet, and all of this is getting tense. It's getting heated. In fact, in the operation, whichever one you think of, and that's it. Show this video some love if you liked it. To the channel, make a reference, comment, and all of this is getting heated. Se crispa. Corporate bond issuance in the next one. Bye.